Ta-da. I'm ready. Are you? All right, good. Today, I am so excited about this talk. I have been thinking about this for the last few weeks. Always when I get a talk title in my head, all kinds of messages come to me and I see things everywhere. And I thought I was living in this idea of appreciation for the men in my life, for my brothers, for my nephews, for the men here at the center. And I realized it's raining men. So, hallelujah. So today we're going to celebrate the divine masculine. We're going to celebrate the dads and the granddads that are here with us today. We're going to celebrate the masculine idea that is in all of us, but certainly embodied in the men who are so consciously living and contributing here at our center. I want to begin with some acknowledgement, so please hold your applause until I've made this invitation for people to stand. So, and if you're in the sanctuary or if you're in the family room, I see some men in there that I'm going to assume may be in the dad crowd. And I want you to claim your place if you are a man who maybe doesn't have a formal role as a father, but you know that that is a role that you play in the lives of children. One of my uncles had a long time companion. They never lived together or were married, but his children, or her children, very much considered my uncle to be their father. So if that is a role that you know you are playing, please feel free to stand as I call out the different groups. So if you are a great-grandfather or step-great-grandfather or feel you fit in that category, please stand. Thank you. If you are a grandfather or you fill that role, please stand. Thank you. If you are a dad, raising kids, please fill that role or have raised kids and send them out on their own. If you are an uncle and have participated in raising kids, thank you. Let us acknowledge these powerful and beautiful men in our midst. Thank you. I don't think there's a greater job than parenting. I had the privilege of speaking on Mother's Day last year and Father's Day this year, so it feels like a nice coming home. Abraham Lincoln said, "No man stoops so tall as when he stoops to help a child." So thank you, gentlemen. Last year for Mother's Day, I gave specific thanks that I'm going to repeat today. So thank you to you dads for all the fun stuff and all the not so fun stuff and for the really awful stuff. For the times when parenting was a joy and for the times you had to make difficult decisions that were not popular with your kids or others. For when you had to play the bad cop or disciplinarian or practice a little tough love on your children's road to independence. Last year, I also talked a little bit about the roles and the activities of motherhood that included some of the expectations we have of mothers. And as I thought about the talk for today, I realized that, or remembered again, that you fathers and men in general in our society are living in a changing paradigm. Been changing for a long time. You'd think we'd be there, but I think we're still in shifting expectations of what we expect of men. The expectations are big, they're varied, and at times they're contradictory. Some of the expectations are society expects you to raise perfect kids who will become productive members of society, who will hold good jobs and pay taxes and have kids of their own. If you don't have kids, we expect you to be one of those pillars of society. Your spouse or partner expects you to meet the many demands of home, school, and social life for your kids while being their breadwinning, devoted partner or spouse. Or if you don't have kids, you're expected to be a loving partner in a relationship if that's your situation. Friends and other adults, we expect you to be strong and silent and also soft and communicative. We want you to take charge, but we want to have our own way. We want you to know what to do, and we like it when problems are solved, but we really don't often want your advice. And I recognize that you are engaged in this lifelong challenge and opportunity of meeting the needs of your kids, meeting the needs of these expectations we all have of you. And that happens for your lifetime, every stage of your life. You're required to step up in a new way as a man and in the roles that you fill. So fatherhood and navigating the world as a man in our changing society requires you to really be present and fill in a lot of roles. And I would think it might be confusing. I was thinking about this talk and I thought, well, I think it's confusing. And I would think it might be confusing to you, but I thought I'd kind of check that out. I wondered if, since you're a man who comes to a center like this, my perception is I think you're not very mainstream. I think that you're kind of deeper thinkers. The men I've experienced here at the center in classes and in various areas, you're deeper thinkers, a little more enlightened, whatever we describe that to be, more aware of yourself and how life works. But I wonder, are you comfortable and clear on your roles? This is not the forum for a full discussion, but I thought I'd do a little show of hands. If you feel comfortable, if you don't, if you think, what is she talking about? Then just don't raise your hand. But how many of you men in this center feel clear and comfortable on what is expected and how to act in the various areas of your life? Oh, a number of hands. How many of you are sometimes uncertain what's expected in this shifting landscape? Thank you. Thank you. And how many of you are just kind of confused and fed up? Oh, only one hand. That's good. Yeah, but I just thought, it's hard to get your head into someone else's situation, and I just really thought that being a man these days is probably quite a challenge. So far I've been kind of talking about the male gender, what it's like to be a man in our society. But now I want to go beyond that world of form, and I want to move into a more spiritual discussion about the divine masculine and the masculine energy that is in men, but it's in all of us. Beyond gender and beyond the stereotypes, there's a rich body of knowledge that's emerging about what it means to be fully human, to express that masculine energy and the feminine energy. So we're going to talk about that today. And I believe in this teaching that we're all about that. We like to look beyond the stereotypes. We are a teaching that we don't like to just accept what's in front of us or the ideas that have happened up until now. We look for deeper meanings that will carry us forward, not leave us stuck in the old ways of looking at things. You with me on doing a little exploration this morning? And I don't pretend to be an expert in this field. Some of you will have your own interpretations, and some of you probably have a lot more knowledge than me in this domain. But I encourage you to think of this as an exploration and to listen for what resonates with you. So let's begin by looking at one definition of the divine masculine. The healthy divine masculine is fearless, courageous, and loyal. When in balance, the masculine protector does no harm. His gentle strength brings harmony and peace to where there was conflict and separation. He knows his power, but does not abuse or misuse it. He is a leader and is not afraid to speak the truth, even if others disagree. He is courageously fierce and standing for what is right. The divine masculine is not afraid of the unknown. He enjoys adventure and exploring new territory. He believes in himself and knows he will succeed if his intentions are clear and actions aligned. Anyone know any men who embody lots of these qualities? I do, and a lot of them are sitting right here today with us. I also told you I have 4 brothers and 5 nephews, and I see lots of the divine masculine in action there as well. Ernest Holmes described the masculine principle this way. This is a glossary of the Science of Mind textbook. He said, the masculine principle is the assertive principle of being, the self-conscious, self-propelling power of spirit, the projective principle of life, impregnating the universal soul with its ideas and concepts, the self-assertive spirit in either God or man. And I helped Ernest out a little bit and added spirit or humankind, because I know if he were here, he would move beyond the gender. So, what can we learn from paying attention to this concept of the divine masculine or the masculine principle? What's the opportunity for us as spiritual explorers who are determined to create a world that works for everyone? When I looked for these definitions of the divine masculine, I found a lot of references, some of them more mainstream than others. But I found a site that kind of went beyond the definitions, and it began to describe the value of increasing our awareness of this principle. And I found this on a site called Gaia.com. The symbol of yin and yang is a key. We humans are, like the symbol, comprised of opposing forces. Masculine and feminine energies swirl within us in delicate balance. When we have too much of one energy or lack of another, we feel that imbalance. Action without wisdom or courage without patience, the lack of one energy shows itself immediately. What we uncovered, this was a group that we got together and did a lot of spiritual work as a group. What we uncovered was that we needed to disassociate with ideas of male and female. And I found that's not very easy to do. Even while I was immersed in this talk, I kept kind of falling back into those old ideas and stereotypes we have about male and female. So we want to try and disassociate from those and move it to that higher level. The divine masculine is an energy of action, courage, power in the abstract. The divine feminine is an energy of patience, wisdom, flexibility, and nurturing. The combination of these energies allow motion when blended. So you notice that's not saying men can do this and women can do this. It's much beyond that. It's about the energy we all choose and bring and become aware of. So if we look around us in the world, when we see the political upheaval in the US and in other places, we see the polarizing forces, we could get nervous. We could be thinking, oh, this world, I don't watch the news a lot, because I do get a little nervous. I think, yikes, what are we up to as a people? And what I see is a lot of imbalance. And I think this divine masculine and feminine can offer us some idea around what's going on there, this imbalance of power. But if we look closely, we can also see the social movements. We can see all the people, by this polarizing, we can see all the people that are stepping up and making their voices heard in the name of justice, fairness, compassion. In order to really change the world, isn't it time for all of us to find a greater balance and embrace the masculine and the feminine energies, beginning right with ourselves? So what can we do about that? What can we do to create a greater balance of the yin and the yang and initiate personal, community, and global change? And I know that we are already doing this. And I came up with a few ideas for today about how we might continue that path. So I'd like to invite you to consider these ideas today. I think the first one is to teach our children balance. Help them discover how to take responsibility for their individual lives first, and then teach them how to collaborate and cooperate and weave interdependent and satisfying relationships and lives. I was raised in the area of feminism, when we were just starting to challenge the norms of women being responsible for emotional needs and creating homes, while men were responsible for the material aspects of life, such as providing financial security and physical safety. In the model of the 50s and earlier that I suggest is still lingering, men took care more of the material and women of the emotional. And with the insight and the certainty of youth, I was about 15 and I was a pretty smart cookie. I knew lots. I remember being very clear that the world would change, and I used to tell everybody who would listen pretty much, that the world would change when mothers and fathers start teaching their little girls to take responsibility for their lives and not depend on a man to take care of them, and teach their little boys to care for their emotional lives and that they did not have to physically take care of the whole world and everyone around them. See, I haven't learned a thing since then. Thank you. We can all teach, and we can all be role models to children, whether they are our own. I have nieces and nephews that I think consider me another parent. because I think that this role we have of raising the children is one we all share, and there's nothing more important. The second idea I have for you today is step up to our own potential and more fully understand and embody the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I have a little story. The shower faucet, this is relevant. The shower faucet in my apartment has been loose for about, let me be honest, 2 months or so. And it's just jiggly. And I talked to people about it. Oh, I'm not a water faucet, man. I didn't do anything about it. I just talked about it. And one of my coworkers said, there's a little round button in the center. Flip it off. There'll be a screw in there. You can tighten it. Okay. I have a Phillips screwdriver in my drawer. Did I do anything about it? No. So yesterday, a contractor was in my apartment to look at something else in the bathroom. And so I thought, oh, a rescue in sight. So I said, oh, by the way, the faucet is loose, and I was told I could take the thing off, but and he said, oh, do you have a Phillips? Do you have a screwdriver with the star on it? I said, yeah, I do. So I bring the screwdriver out, he flips the thing off with his thumbnail, tightens it. It took 7 or 8 seconds. And why do I tell you this story today? Because, ladies, we have to step up to do some of the plumbing. Do you know the expression man up? I don't like that expression very much because it's sometimes used to shame boys or men. But ladies, maybe we can use it. Man up a little bit. This doesn't mean we have to start, pushing men out of the way when they're doing the unpleasant things. But it does mean that if we are stopping ourselves from doing things because we aren't confident enough or because we don't want to take the responsibility for something, I knew I could fix that thing, but I just wasn't quite sure I could get the end off, or what if something went wrong? So I let my, lack of confidence get in the way of just simply stepping up, just expressing that part of me that knows how to do things, that's capable, that takes action, that gets things done. And when we do that, when we teach our girls or when we do that ourselves, we feel just that, a little bit more powerful, a little bit more self-sufficient. When I was learning to drive, I was out driving in the country and I got a flat tire. And my brother was with me and he said, so we got the flat tire. He said, I think that sounds like a flat tire. I said, oh, what are we going to do about that? He said, well, there's probably a jack in the trunk. Oh. So he waited me out. So I went back there, and with very little direction, he didn't really tell me what to do. I just got out there, and I figured out, oh, there is a jack in the trunk. Yeah, I could jack the car up. And from then on, I was a better driver because I had some confidence on the road that if I got a flat tire, I could fix it. So that's what I'm talking about. It sounds like silly little things, but it's a way of just being stronger in the world, being more of who we are by stepping into that other energy that may not be your first choice. And gentlemen, you're not off the hook. When we women start, fixing the water faucets, you're going to have time to step up to other ways of being. For instance, there's no rule saying women must be the ones to take care of the emotional needs of the family and send birthday cards to family members. I never got a birthday card from any of my brothers until they got married, and then all of a sudden I started getting birthday cards. I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? Was it that they never thought about my birthday? Or that they never bothered to send a card? Actually, I used to call them collect and say, I know you wanted to wish me a happy birthday. And also, gentlemen, we women do not have exclusive rights to the art of listening without advice giving. You too can enjoy that opportunity. But I encourage all of us to look at our patterns. Just bring that consciousness and seize the opportunity to step up to our potential in small and larger ways. Also from the Gaia site I read, we also learned that we were not universally strong in all these qualities, and by that they mean the masculine and feminine divine qualities. As any human seeking wholeness, we must journey towards our goal. Knowing of the existence of these energies and their qualities is perhaps the first step. We need to nurture our strengths and grow where we are weak. This is evolution. The third idea I have for you today is to remember that you are not alone. We are not alone. on my Twitter thing, handle, name, feed, I have the statement, let's be clear and kind. We're all in this together. So we want to remember that while we are engaged in this human experience of navigating the circumstances of life and managing our feelings and relationships and tending to our personal growth, to our spiritual growth, we can reach out for support. I encourage all of us to tell our truth when we're happy or when we're sad or angry or confused. We can ask for help. We can share our feelings. Men, you can challenge the man up concept. And remember, it's not weak to need or ask for help or to ask for help. We're not in this alone. I had to bring in the Raptors somewhere, right? So they have a wonderful thing in basketball and in other sports where you sub in, right? So when these guys get tired, other people come in and do some of the work. So we can do that for one another, yes? And after I did this slide this morning, I was thinking about the talk and I was thinking, oh, I should have put the women's soccer team up there as well, right? Because it's not just the men who do this, it's the women. So we're all in it together. We can all support one another. Remember that you are not alone. The fourth thing I want to mention to you today is trust yourself. We need to trust ourselves. We've got this. Within you and me is a divine masculine energy that is fearless, courageous, powerful, action-oriented. And we have a divine feminine energy that is patient, wise, flexible, and nurturing. We have all, you and I, we've got this. We know what we're doing. We are intelligent, evolved, conscious, caring, beautiful, magnificent expressions of the divine life that is infinite and all-powerful. In every moment, we are supplied with everything we need to live a life of joy, of love, of meaning. We've got this. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And the great sage Marjorie Contenti said, waste no more time worrying about what a good woman should be. Be one. And finally, we want to not forget our spiritual practices. And that shouldn't be finally, really, that's probably first. But we want to do those practices that you know work for you. Journal writing is a powerful practice I've been doing for 30 years. Meditation, spiritual mind treatments, reading, coming to classes. There are many spiritual practices. Dancing. Come out and dance with Bandele. Whatever practices you know help to keep you awake and alive and awake to your own possibilities and your capacity for living a great and joyous life. I want to encourage all of us to go forward today with great respect for the fathers and the men among us, and for the divine masculine energy in all of us. Individually and together, let us take positive and powerful action, beginning in our own hearts, our own minds, our own homes and workplaces and relationships, and in this center. And let this action catapult us into a world that works for everyone. So just a quick review. Teach our children balance. Let them know they are powerful and amazing beings that can take care of themselves. Step up to our potential to more fully realize the divine masculine and the divine feminine in ourselves. Remember, we are not alone. Trust ourselves. We've got this. Regularly engage in spiritual practices that work for you. And as I close today, this talk was intended as a celebration and a tribute to the dads and to all the men at our center and around the world. Every time you consciously and lovingly take a class and evolve your thinking, every time you engage in spiritual practices such as a treatment or affirmative prayer, every time you make the coffee, every time you shed a tear or meditate or comfort someone, every time you serve as a volunteer in any capacity, every time you say a kind word, every time you step up, you make your own world and ours safer, kinder, more welcoming. You, through your courage and willingness, lead us all into a world that works for everyone. We love you and we thank you for that. And I would invite the band.